What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, and we're back today to talk Kansas City Chiefs after an amazing win against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday Night Football. It was an amazing game, and I didn't have many bad things to say. However, after watching that game, there was one thing that was kind of in the back of my mind that I just couldn't let go. You know, that was a great game offensively, which we needed, and everyone got involved, just almost everyone. But there was one person that still could not even get a mere target in this game, and that's Josh Gordon. You know, I am just shocked at the lack of use of Josh Gordon. I mean, they're still giving targets to guys like Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle over Josh Gordon, and I just don't understand it. You know, this guy, the coaching staff hypes him up week after week, and all the players talk about, we got to get Josh Gordon involved, and the coaches talk about how bad they want it for him, and then he doesn't get in on the action at all. And even at the end of the game there in garbage time, like, to me, that was a point in the game where you should have just drawn up some plays that were meant for Josh Gordon just to get him going a little bit. Like, you're telling me at the end of the game you couldn't throw him in there and give him a couple passes even when the game was over? To me, that was really strange. And a lot of people are sitting here wondering, is Josh Gordon ever going to be a factor? And I just mentioned how the coaches keep talking up Josh Gordon, how they say eventually it's going to happen for him. Andy Reid even said it again today. This is a tweet from Adam Teicher on Twitter. Reid said it's only a matter of time before Josh Gordon is a productive part of the Chiefs' offense. Said he's told Gordon to be patient because it's going to happen. And at this point, I don't know whether or not to believe Reid when he says that, but I do hope it's true. And I've seen a lot of people in recent weeks go, you know what, maybe Josh Gordon just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe Josh Gordon is washed. You know, it was a desperate signing and all these things. And look, it was a desperate signing. Let's be honest. That's what it was. But that doesn't mean that Josh Gordon isn't still a good player. You know, I think Reid and the Chiefs coaching staff makes it harder than it needs to be sometimes. And there's this trope out there that it takes a really long time for offensive players to learn the Andy Reid offense. But look, there are so many receivers, and not even just receivers, just good offensive players all around the league that come into the NFL or sign with a new team that immediately make an impact. And it should be no different for the Chiefs. Josh Gordon has been productive at just about every single stop. You cannot tell me that, oh, he's 30 years old and he just happens to be washed now, and unfortunately the Chiefs sign him a little bit too late. Like, no. And the thing is, Josh Gordon's body is actually relatively fresh because of the fact that he was suspended so much. So it's not like he has a bunch of tread on the tires and he's, like, physically not capable anymore. And look, he's never been a guy that has lived off of getting separation and stuff. It's his physicality, its ability to make these contested catches. Now, the contested catches haven't really come for him because a couple times they tried to target him, and it was a contested catch that maybe he should have had, but at the same time, to me, it seems like they tried to force the ball to Gordon. That was Mahomes forcing it to Gordon, and it didn't work, and then they were just too scared to ever go to him again, and I hate that. You know, there was a time last night, and I mentioned this with my guy Hydra in the post game last night. There was like 3 or 4 snaps in a row, really quick, where they just went to Noah Gray. And Noah Gray is not someone who has gotten targets in this offense before yesterday. And then he had a touchdown. He had his first touchdown catch, and it was because they kept going to him quick a couple times. And they were designed plays for Noah Gray. And I'm saying, why can't you do that for Josh Gordon, where it's just an entire drive that is revolved around, let's get Josh Gordon the ball and let's get him going? Like, how hard is it to just do that? Or even some of these sweeps and these handoffs that they're giving to receivers like Mecole Hardman. Why not let Josh Gordon take a couple of those? There's just part of me that feels like if Josh Gordon were to sign with another team that's not the Chiefs, he would be contributing by now, because that's just the way the Chiefs operate. Like I said, I think Reid and the coaching staff truly do make it a little more complicated than it needs to be sometimes when it comes to integrating players into the offense. And, you know, it's no different for Josh Gordon. But I do think things will eventually look up for him. I really do. And if you look at his snap counts, they've recently gone up. Like, he's starting to outsnap some of these other players at receiver. He outsnapped McCole Hardman last night, I'm pretty sure. And then I think the week before that, he played more snaps than any other Chiefs receiver. So he's getting on the field. He's just not getting those targets. And I kind of wonder why. And it seems like a lot of the times they're just having him out there as a blocking wide receiver, which I think is doing him a little bit of a disservice. And I know he's been out of football for a little bit before he came to the Chiefs, but it's not like the guy can't make a catch anymore. And you almost have to wonder if they're kind of saving him for later in the season. I think some people are kind of theorizing that. But to me, that would be kind of stupid. One, because, look, you're desperate for wins right now. When you were in your rut and you were like 4-4 or 5-5, whatever it was, and you needed to start racking up wins, you need to be doing whatever possible. You need to be putting your best out there, using your best players. And if you think one of them is Josh Gordon or one of them could be Josh Gordon, then you need to get him involved. So, I don't necessarily buy that they were hiding him, but I'm not going to totally shut down that idea. Like, maybe they are waiting to let these packages out for him that they have. And look, I said this about Josh Gordon after the Washington game, but that also seemed like a game that maybe he should have gotten the ball a little bit more. But I think sometimes the reason for not getting him the ball is because Josh Gordon is still new to this team and he's still new to this offense. And when the Chiefs were in these desperate times, they didn't want to do something new like going with Josh Gordon. They wanted to just stick with what was comfortable. Like, look, when you're down and you need to win a game and stuff, you don't want to just break out something new. You want to do what you know your team does best and go to who you trust, like the Tyreek Hills and the Travis Kelce, which I think maybe is a fair explanation as to why Josh Gordon wasn't getting some of these targets, because I feel like they just weren't the games in which that was a great time to get Josh Gordon going. But you can't say that for this Raiders game last night. Like, that was absolutely a game that Josh Gordon should have gotten some looks. But then at the same time, look, maybe you don't want to give away what you have in store for Josh Gordon when the game is already over. I don't know. There's a ton of different reasons why. Andy Reid he's not going to share the entire story with us, but I'm sure there is a good reason as to why Josh Gordon isn't getting the snaps. But man, I'm just sitting here wondering why he's not getting them, or not even the snaps, but the targets, the involvement in the offense. But if he can get going and we see some resemblance of like 2018, 2019 Josh Gordon, then this offense is going to be unstoppable, assuming, they're clicking on all cylinders like they were last night and they put it back together going forward. Then if they can get Josh Gordon going and he can start taking advantage of the single looks he's going to get in coverage with Hill and Kelce out there and be another threat, look out. I really hope it works out too. And I really think that Josh Gordon being a presence would open up things for the other guys. I think teams have found it easier to guard Kelce and Hill a little bit because no defenses really respect a lot of these other weapons that the Chiefs have. You have to make defenses respect Josh Gordon. And if you're not getting him the ball and these defenses know that he's not going to get the ball throughout the course of a game, then why the hell would they ever pay attention to him? And why would they not focus all of their resources on stopping Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? So I think the Chiefs could make things easier on themselves by getting some of these other guys going. And they kind of did that last night too. Like I said, with some of their other receivers, like Pringle got a lot of action, but I just wish they would do it with Gordon. But we'll have to see. I really hope things start to look up for Josh Gordon, especially because, all football aside, and I said this on the KC Sports Report with Michael Darcy, I really just hope it works out for Josh Gordon because it really does seem like he's turned his life around this time. And he said that he wants to make Kansas City a long-term home, and I really love that about him. I really hope he's able to make something out of his stay in Kansas City and become an integral part of this offense. So, I want it so bad for him, and it seems like Reid wants it really bad for him, and the team wants it really bad for him. So I'm hoping really soon we start seeing Josh Gordon get involved in this offense. But last night did make me question a little bit, are we ever going to see him? But then Reid comes out and says what he did this morning, and now he's got me now he's got me hoping again. But we'll see. I want to hear from you guys, though. What do you think of the lack of action for Josh Gordon, and do you think he'll eventually get it going? Let me know. And as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And lastly, make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. But I'll see y'all later.